Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. We will be beginning in just a moment. We're just going to give everybody a chance to connect, and then we're going to get started. So for those who are just joining us, welcome, and thanks for joining us today. The webinar will begin in just a moment. We're just going to give everybody a chance to connect, and then we're going to get started. All right, I think we're going to get going. So thank you for joining us for our last MicroAge Talks Technology webinar of 2025. We're about 35 days from Christmas and not sure where all the whole year went, but here we are. Today we will become mythbusters as we look at the most common IT myths and ask for your help in determining if they are fact or fiction. My name is Maria Fiore. I'm the Director of Operations here at MicroAge, and I am joined today by Sergio Lima, Director of Customer Success. Welcome, Sergio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Have you gotten all your Christmas gifts, Sergio?
Nothing at all. Haven't even started.
It is Black Friday, so now's a good time to start. All the sales are on,
I
so
guess, yes. Let's start
yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also wanted to call out that we have our colleague Patrick in the background managing things to make sure all goes smoothly. And I will mention that we did the same webinar this morning in French. There are some issues with Teams today, so we're hoping that we won't have the same issues, although Patrick is still having those issues. But we managed to get through it, and so just I guess apologizing in advance in case there's some problems that we encounter throughout the webinar. Let's hope not. We've crossed our fingers and prayed to the universe, but who knows. So here's a couple of housekeeping notes. Attendees are muted to reduce background noise. We encourage questions, so please use the Q&A to ask your questions. Interactivity between you and us and with each other is key to making these webinars valuable. So please use the chat to share your thoughts throughout the webinar. This webinar is being recorded, and the link will be of the recording will be sent to everyone in the next few days. And then lastly, we will provide a link to a short 3-question survey in the chat to gather your feedback a little bit later in the webinar. So please take a moment to give us your feedback so we can improve future webinars. For those that are wondering about the draw for the 3 $100 Amazon cards, we will be drawing those later in the webinar, so stick with us, please. So before we get into the myth-busting piece of our webinar today, I'm just going to take a moment to give a brief overview of who we are and for those of you who may not know us. So MicroAge is a Canadian technology service provider with 41 locations across Canada. We've been providing IT services and solutions to our clients for close to 45 years. We strongly believe that working in partnership with our clients allows us to help them achieve their objectives. For the partnership to be successful, we need to understand your operations, who your customers are, how your people work, your challenges, your opportunities, your success metrics. And armed with all of this understanding helps us recommend and provide the IT services and solutions that fit your needs. This is who we are and how we work with our clients. And with that, Sergio, I pass it on to you so we can
Thank you very much, Maria.
bust some myths today.
Let's bust some myths. Yes, thank you for joining, everyone. Let's go through a quick agenda of how it works. Actually, we're gonna there's an intro. We'll explain to you how the rules of the game, how the game actually works. We'll go through our myth busting questions. We'll give you a chance to answer them at every single question. We'll set up a little survey, and you get to answer whether it's a myth or if it's real or a myth. We'll take a look at some takeaways along the way as we get the answers. You'll see the answers as we come along, and then we'll wrap up and do the gift card, right? So,
Mhm.
what did we want to do? We didn't want this to be trick questions to try and fool you into getting the wrong answer. We do a lot of surveys with our customers, and we do get these types of questions often in our reviews. So we figured it would be nice to have, a fact from fiction type of webinar that actually shows you some of the questions that we get, and whether they're real or not, or misconceptions and misunderstandings. And there's so much information out there that sometimes you don't know if it's true or false. So this is a pretty interesting webinar. How will it work? We'll display a question at a time. For each one, we'll give you a chance to vote whether it's fact or fiction. Everyone votes, obviously, and then we'll reveal the correct answer following that, along with an explanation, and hopefully you can learn something new from any of these questions. So let's get going. Question number 1. Storing company data in Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace means backups are automatically handled by the provider. Fact or fiction?
Put up the poll in a minute. There we
So
are.
we're talking about an M365 or G Suite type of environment where you have documents, spreadsheets, presentations, etc., documents like that, including, if you're using M365, things like Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint.
It's a tough question, or
Yeah.
people are taking their time to answer.
Hopefully they're not Googling it or chat GPTing it.
Yeah, maybe we should timer. You have like that timer.
Yeah.
We're just going to give it a couple more seconds, guys, if you want to put in your answers. We promise nobody's going to come back to you and say you failed the test. This is
Correct.
just so that
Yeah.
we can
No
have a little bit of
judgment.
fun.
Yep.
So, okay. I think we can close it up, Patrick,
Sure.
and then share. Can you share, Patrick, or is that still a problem? Yeah. Okay. So
Still
for
an issue, I'm
everybody's
sorry.
No, no, no worries. So for everybody's knowledge, so 16% of the respondents said 16%, and I already said that, didn't I? 16%, and then said it was fact, and then 83% said it was fiction.
And
The
the
answer
answer is
is
it's fiction. So providers such as Microsoft and Google, their responsibility is more for the uptime of their service of the apps, not necessarily the entire or full backup and the ability to restore. So it is still the responsibility still remains on the client side or on the entity that is subscribing to that service, obviously. So they have a specific amount of data retention that they follow, which usually is called like a responsibility model. And I have a sample of that, but we'll show it a little bit later after a few other questions. But yeah, there is there's a misconception where a lot of people assume that the vendor or the SaaS provider is doing full backup at all times with extended periods of retention, which is fiction. It's actually not the case. All right, question number 2. Cyber insurance will always pay out as long as you have a valid policy. Fact or fiction? And if you do not have cyber insurance at the moment, I highly recommend you do some research and look into some firms that can provide you this type of insurance. Why? Because in the event of an incident, a cybersecurity incident, you're in the fire. You're trying to tone tone it down. You're trying to do a lot of things at the same time, and sometimes it obviously helps to have an entity or your insurer that is there to provide you with breach coaches and forensics and diagnostics and technical people and legal consultation and communication suggestions on how to communicate this with your partners and clients. So I highly recommend you look into getting yourself some cyber insurance. I think that gave
All
them
right.
enough time.
Yeah, I think so. We're not seeing any more responses, so let's close that up. And so 4% thought it was fact, and 95%. That doesn't make any sense. 4 plus not 5. Anyway, fiction.
Missing 1%. Yeah, it's
Maybe
weird.
it's like 5% fact. I'm not sure. That doesn't make any sense.
Plus
Anyway,
minus.
yeah, plus minus. Yeah.
And the answer is fiction. Claims can actually be denied. So, for example, if you have cyber insurance, you probably had to fill out a big form with a bunch of questions that asked you how many layers of security you have in place, and you need to answer yes or no and what type of solution is in place. And if you answer some of these questions wrongfully, I guess, or if you say that I have MFA, but in fact you don't have it at 100%, you have some and not all. And if you answer some of them yes, and if something were to happen and they need to intervene and they realize and notice during their forensics analysis and sources and finding, where it came from and who initiated it, if they find out that you did not fill out that questionnaire properly, um, there is possibly litigation and an issue where the cyber insurer may not give you may not pay out or may give you a little bit of a headache in terms of trying to pay out some of the expenses. So it's really important. It's not because like we don't expect. We haven't seen any of our customers fill out these questionnaires, and it's 20 questions, and you need to have yes at all. It's a matter of cyber insurers evaluating the risk that they have, your vulnerability and their risk, and what they want to support, what they want to cover for you. And sometimes, they will give you the insurance, but they'll have some possible exclusions and clauses and stuff that mention that you do not have these solutions in place, and you should put them in place, within a certain amount of time, or because of that, well, your premiums have gone up. So that's something important when shopping. Question number 3. In Canada, employees can be personally fined under privacy legislation if they mishandle customer data. Fact or fiction?
Let's see. Who knows their privacy rules?
Hmm.
Oh, as soon as we get that
6,433 pages worth of it. Yeah.
with legalese that
Give or
you
take
need to.
10,000 pages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now, you may be subject to Canadian laws, PIPEDA. You may be also subject to provincial laws as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Law 25 in Quebec
Yeah.
and other laws across the country. So,
Yeah.
all right, I think we're good with the
Yep.
responses. So, as far as I can tell, we've got 13% who say it's fiction and 86% say it's fact.
It is fact. Under PIPEDA and various provincial acts, your employees, individuals, can also be held accountable. So, how do you avoid that? Communication, awareness. Try and make sure your employees are aware. I guess the best option would be to give them cybersecurity awareness training, where they can understand some of the content is all about uh, confidential information and how it's handled, how it's shared. And it does explain in most cases that yes, the company will be possibly fined, but sometimes it can go all the way down to the employee that may have intentionally or unintentionally mishandled some data. So it's very important to have that type of awareness training for your employees. It's also important to have policies put in place so that your employees understand how to handle specific data that involves customer personal information. But yeah, they could be held liable or accountable at a certain point.
With this morning, we had a question about, is it, like the privacy uh, guru in your organization, or the president, is he the only one responsible, or the actual people or employees are actually responsible? And it's both, from what
Yeah.
I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 4. Cloud services like AWS, Amazon, and Microsoft Azure automatically patch customer applications. We should have mentioned servers as well. So customer applications and servers.
Fact or fiction?
Again, going back to that responsibility model.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Call it a shared responsibility model, right?
Still have conversations on that. There is an assumption
Mm,
of a certain level of there's a certain level of expectations.
yeah. So just 2 more seconds and then we'll close it off
Yeah.
and we'll share the responses. So as far as I can tell, so far we've got 90% of respondents said it's fiction and 9% said it's fact.
It is fiction. That's good. So providers ensure that their backend infrastructure is patched and fully functional and always available at all times, or 99.999. But if you're hosting apps, if you're hosting virtual servers, it is your responsibility to patch them. It is your responsibility to secure them and to protect them, along with backups, obviously. So I always refer to, and I'm hoping this is going to work because last time we did that this morning, after this, I crashed in Teams and it just didn't work. But let's see if that works. So, for example, Microsoft has their version of the responsibility model available online. So you can do just quick search for Microsoft responsibility model and it'll bring you to this page. If you look at the middle section, the responsibility varies by type. So whatever is in dark blue, it is your responsibility, the customer. So if you look at things like, we'll look at SaaS to begin with. So an M365 environment is Excel, Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, Teams, SharePoint. Uh, it is Microsoft's responsibility to ensure that they provide you with the latest version of their platform, latest version of their apps. So they cover that. But if you were to have an IaaS, so an infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service, which is SQL as a service, let's say you don't really have SQL servers, you have the actual service running, then it becomes a little sketchy on the platform and completely your responsibility in terms of patching your operating systems, your applications, and network controls, security, identity, who logs into your environment. It is your responsibility to ensure that it is done correctly. So I'll move this away and hopefully I'm
So
back.
So Simeon asks a question, how long does the claims usually take in cyber insurance? I mean, I don't know if you have an idea about that, Sergio. I imagine it's very different depending on the claim and the situation, but
Depending on the insurer, depending on the situation, a lot of times what happens is that your insurer will parachute in a bunch of people, so you don't have to pay anything right off the bat. Obviously, it's included in your service. But if there's things that become outside of scope, their primary objective is to make sure that you are back up and running and functional. And it's also the same. We use the same methodologies, paperwork and everything else behind that. That whole red tape aspect for us is priority two. The first priority for us is to ensure that your business is back up and running, your data is back, and that you're fully functional. And then we'll worry about the rest. But I can't really give you a time frame. I'm not sure exactly what that time frame is. I doubt that they'll wait too long before having a conversation with you once they've brought you back up. I believe it's part of their closure report and their final meetings that they have with you once they've resolved all of the issues.
but it,
They'll probably
yeah.
show up with yes, this was covered, this is not covered, and I guess payment plans, etc.
Yeah, because they have to do the forensics, right? They have to try to figure
Yeah.
out how it happened as well. So it's not just
Yeah,
getting up, it's the forensics
exactly.
piece that's long, right? So,
We've never seen any instances where the insurer will just say, stop, I need to get paid, or I need to speak about the invoice before moving forward. That never happens. Question
right.
number 5. Once data is deleted from Microsoft 365, it can always be recovered through Microsoft's recycle bin features. So you may or may not have used this function in the past. So you may or may not have the answer.
Well, I don't know so far.
Looking good so far. We
Yes.
got some vigilant people here.
Oh, give it a couple more seconds.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we can shut it down. So 16% thought this statement was a fact, and 80% thought it was fiction.
Right. The correct answer is fiction. They have retention, but it is very limited. And if you are part of an industry where you need some kind of compliancy or regulated, where you need to keep records and data, all data for 5, 7, 9 years, 15 years, whatever the case may be, um, you will most probably need to add some form of a third-party backup to extend that retention period. So as an example, Microsoft's policy for emails, I believe, is 30 days, and once it's 30 days in the bin, it'll automatically be deleted. OneDrive, I believe, is 93 days. So again, if you delete files, you have up to 93 days to restore that if something were to happen. But on the 94th day, that data is gone. So again, if you think about a hacker coming into your environment, staying in your environment for upwards of 120 days, actually the average is probably 160 or 80 days, I believe, the last stat I checked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, they do that on purpose. They do that to delete and encrypt data and wait past the retention period and then ask you for some ransom, some money. So that makes it difficult for you to be able to restore from anything, even stuff that's in the recycle bin. So question 6, replication and backup are the same. I like this
Fact
question.
or fiction? Yeah. All right. I was going to say this is a hard one. We weren't seeing any responses, but here we are. There's a bit of a delay, I guess, that we're getting the responses now. All right. Say 2 more seconds, and then we're going to shut it down. Yeah, I think we can close it up, Patrick. So we've got 8% who said it's fact and 91% who said it's fiction.
All right. Good to see people are getting them. It is fiction. They are actually two different types of data resiliency solutions to put in place. A replication is simply a form of replicating your data from one site to another, whether it's two physical sites or a physical to virtual. It replicates the data as is, which means that if your source data were to be infected, encrypted, corrupt, etc., and you have some kind of mechanism that replicates it, it will replicate whatever it sees. So you have a chance of possibly replicating data and viruses that you do not want to be replicated. So the goal of a replication is for your business, or if one site were to go down, that the secondary site takes over and you continue on your business. So that's, I guess, the resiliency part of it and the business continuity part of it. But the backup portion is really ensuring that you have several versions of your backup so that if ever something were to happen, that's your plan B. Obviously, we usually run our rule of thumb for backups, which is 32110. So 3 copies of your backup. 2 of them need to be on 2 separate types of media. So either it's a storage device or a virtual cloud backups, etc. One of them has to be off-site, away at a secondary site. So if you have everything in the cloud, which would be another cloud entity. The other number one is make sure that you have a backup that is immutable, so offline. Make a system that would make a backup and cut that link from your network so that in case you get infected, there is always a way to get that copy. Because the hackers, what they do is they go for those secondary copies and they infect them as well. But if it's immutable and not connected to your network, it gives you that last ditch effort and the ability to come back with your data. And the zero of 32110 is make sure you're testing your backups and you have zero errors. So very important distinction between both, and obviously both are important together for you to be as resilient as possible and be up and running as quickly as possible. Question number 7. I'm using an AI tool on a web browser, so there's no risk of data exfiltration or malware.
Fact or fiction?
Hmm.
Oh, feels like this one's a bit of an easy one. All right. Yeah, we'll close it down. We've got 100% who said it was fiction.
And it is
100% are
fiction.
right.
Yep. Yeah. So there are a couple of aspects here. An AI tool on, we can use ChatGPT as an example. You run into ChatGPT, you can ask a bunch of questions, get the answers. There's no way that this tool will get into your network and exfiltrate and take some data and move it over. However, if you're not using ChatGPT and you're using other forms, just ensure that they're legitimate companies and stuff, because you never know, right? Going into some of these websites, obviously, it starts a process of scripts and cookies and stuff that possibly allows a link into your laptop or desktop, and then eventually gets into your network. So, obviously, just make sure that you have some layers of security, right? Passwords, MFA, your endpoints are set up with antivirus or an EDR type of solution, that you have some form of web filtering activated. That'll help you a lot to ensure that you're going to sites that are legitimate and not possibly sketchy sites. All right, question number 8. Most ransomware groups today exfiltrate data before encryption. Fact or fiction? So ransomware groups, we're talking about hackers, right? Actual questions we're getting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the reason why we wanted to do something like this is
Mm-hmm.
because, you hear this every day, right? These types of questions from clients, and I think it might be valuable to know whether, you
Yeah.
know, it's the reality or if it's, a myth, right? So, and Bryce, thank you for that. I realize that people are busy, so he's like multitasking. He says, but
It's okay.
he's listening, so that's good.
It's
Appreciate that.
recorded and you'll get a copy. So it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I think we're
Yep.
23 responses, so let's see if we can one more second and then we'll close. Well, no, Patrick, you're way ahead of me. Great. So 34% said it was fiction and 65% said it was fact.
All right. It is fact.
There you go.
Why
Oh,
do they do that?
60%. Sorry, I made a
Yeah,
mistake.
60%. Yeah.
The math
So
doesn't work. I don't know what they're talking about.
that's
I
very
don't know what's
strange.
going on.
60 and 39%. I guess it's just a number of
I don't know. I've
responses and
given
it comes
up. It
to
doesn't work.
a decimal number. So they are doing this on a regular basis. Why? Because if they were to just get into your systems and encrypt them, you may have a proper 32110 backup rule in place, and you can tell them, I don't need you and I'm not paying you ransom, and cut them off and then restore from valid backups. And they haven't been very effective, right? So what they do is they get into your network, they stay a while, they analyze what's going on, they stop your backups, they grab the data, they exfiltrate it, so they copy it somewhere else outside of your network, and then they'll encrypt it. So, they'll stop your backups. So there's your plan B gone. And then there's no way for you to restore without having to pay some form of ransom. And that's how they extort you for anything they want, including, publishing your information out on the dark web if you don't comply. So that's the common practice right now. All right, question number 9. Using AI-driven phishing detection guarantees protection against business email compromise. So now, more than ever, there are a lot of vendors that are integrating some form of AI engine within their phishing, anti-phishing, anti-spam, antivirus technologies to help businesses combat, the cybersecurity landscape and hackers from getting into your network.
Okay, let's give it a couple more seconds. Let's see if we can get any more responses. And I think we can close it down. So
Mm-hmm.
100% of respondents said that it was fiction.
Mm-hmm. It is fiction. Yep. It does help. But unfortunately, the cyber hackers are also using AI to get into your environment. So I guess it's a bit of a fight between the good and evil, right? The more AI tools vendors try to put into their solutions, it's happening at the same time on the dark side. And they're using AI to actually get into your environment. And the most important point out of all of this is that security is not 100% proof, right? You cannot be secure at 100%, unfortunately. You can be pretty good, very well protected, but there is no vendor out there, no one, that will ever tell you that, with all these tools in place, you'll be 100% protected, unfortunately.
And if they do not believe them.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, cybersecurity continues to be a cat and mouse game, right? So,
Yes.
the supply or the vendors that we work with that provide these tools, get ahead of the game, but it's 5 seconds later, the cyber criminals are ahead of the game, and it's always a
Hmm.
cat and mouse game, and it's who can play it better. But again, there's no 100%, but it's about reducing risk, really.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Question 10. So whenever you go to a website, there's something called an SSL certificate that's applied on the website. So an SSL certificate proves that the site is legitimate and safe for business transactions. So whenever you visit a site, you'll notice the HTTPS://. That is a proof that the SSL certificate is applied on that website. And is it safe for business transactions? Fact or fiction?
This one's a tough one.
Yep.
See where we're at here. Give it a couple more minutes. People are thinking a little bit harder on this one. It's almost a split. Almost, not quite.
Same thing in the other webinar.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
tougher question. Yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1, and we shut it down. All right, so for this particular one, we've got 58% of the respondents said fiction and 41% said fact.
It
And
is
the answer
fiction.
is?
Yes, SSL certificates are used to certify and validate that the website is legit. In the past, this was a good conversation. A lot of times, many moons ago, we used to say, as long as the website's HTTPS, you're safe. Unfortunately, right now, what's happening is that um, hackers are building up websites, getting their certificates there, trying to phish your employees, hoping that they click on the link that gets to that website, and then trying to get into your network. They obviously they end up on some kind of a blacklist eventually. Vendors are working hard to try and get rid of them and put them on a block list. But sometimes, you just need that one person to have access to it. So they keep coming up on a regular basis. So just don't rely on just the SSL certificate. Um, Along with that, obviously, I'm assuming that you'd have things like a proper firewall, Unified Threat Management firewall that is in place that is doing some form of web filtering and maybe possibly stopping some categories that you don't want your employees to be visiting at, obviously, and some other possible security solution that's in place that's constantly just ensuring that it is comparing some of these websites with a known list of unwanted websites and stopping your users from going there. But if you don't have any of these solutions, you may end up on some of these websites that are probably there for several hours or days and then they go down. But for them, that's just enough to get what they want. Question number 11. If I have backups, I can easily restore data in the event of a cyber attack.
Fact or fiction? Responses are coming in.
Mm-hmm. I may have given the answer to this one.
I was going to say, did you not mention
Close the
something?
poll.
Oh, we have to give everybody a chance. All right. Yeah, let's close it down. We've got about number of responses. So for this one, oh, one more came in. We've got 64% who said it was fiction and 36% who said it was fact.
It is fiction. Like I mentioned, backups must be isolated. So the isolated portion is your immutable or offline backup. Uh, any form of solution, backup solution in place that allows you to take a complete snapshot or backup of the data that's critical to you and then disconnects itself from your existing environment. There are a lot of solutions out there that can help you with that. Make sure that you're testing your backups. Make sure that you're doing test restores of files and folders and possible virtual machines, complete virtual machines, just to ensure that your data is good. There are now, as we go along with some of these backup solutions, they are integrating protection within the backups, like checking for viruses, malware, scripts, and all of that stuff that's within the backups. So that's good if you have one of those solutions. But yeah, attackers target this first, right? So their goal is to make sure that you cannot restore your data in the event of a cyber attack. Therefore, that's their number one priority. Get in, find the backup solution, scrap the entire setup, the sessions, and everything else, and then inflict, whatever type of damage they want to use within your network. So it is easy to restore data if you have the right solution in place and it's protected. But if you don't, then it's a risk. Question 12. A reputable, locally installed AI app means I'm safe.
Fact or fiction?
Yeah, so we can use like Copilot as an example. As more and more companies start to venture into the AI realm and ways to increase efficiency, optimize, help their employees.
Hmm. Give it a couple more seconds here. Going once, going twice. All right, let's shut that down. So we've got 95% who said it was fiction. Oh, look at you, Patrick. You're able to share. Fantastic. And 4% said it was fact.
It is fiction. I'm good. It's glad to see that there's a lot of people answering this properly. But you wouldn't believe the amount of conversations I have with existing customers with regards to Copilot in specific, when they assume that Copilot will be safe because it's a Microsoft product. The reality is, Copilot itself is an excellent product. But before implementing something like Copilot within your environment, what it does, know that it will canvas your entire network, M365 tenant, all the data, emails, Teams shared, any links, everything, right? So the first risk is how much information can it collect, and do I want my employees knowing all this information? And the second aspect is how much of this information may get leaked out because of the ability to access all of it. Um, there is an exercise that I recommend you get done. It is in an assessment of your M365 tenant to ensure that your policies, your security policies, your data protection policies are set right within your tenant to one, ensure that your employees don't access things that you don't want them to access, and two, to make sure that it does not share this information outside of your environment. It is extremely important to go through this type of assessment before implementing any form of co-pilot for your employees. I understand if you are an owner and you know this information, but again, there's still that security aspect of it going out and possibly seeing links that may be, a shared file that another entity, a third party, your client may have access to as well, and just, it may just go beyond your actual tenant for information, spreading of that information. So good sentence, disable what you don't need. So it's a good exercise to have. It's actually best practice. If you go on the Microsoft website, they actually tell you you need to have an assessment before you implement Copilot. Question 13. If we're not a tech company, technology shouldn't be our top priority. Most of our customers are not tech companies, right?
Give it a few more seconds. We're still got some people responding. Are we good?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, one more. Okay. Well, we close it down. So once again, 96% said it was fiction and 4% said it was fact.
It is fiction. If you're watching this webinar, you're technically a tech company now. You have some form of tech in your environment, and you're probably using it for data, for sales, for operations, for warehousing. For right now, everyone is dependent on some form of tech out there to be able to sell, expand, and run your businesses. So everybody's got some form of technology in place, right? So now we're extremely dependent, and we see it now when you see entities like AWS and Cloud CrowdStrike and Cloudflare and all of these entities that go down for several hours and it affects the entire world. That's pretty much what it is. Everybody's dependent in some shape, way, or form of some kind of technology that's in your environment. Question 14. Legacy systems are good enough until they fail.
Fact or fiction? It's a slow start to the responses, but now we're coming in.
We also get something similar, like if it's not broke, don't fix it or don't touch it. Works well.
All right. I think pretty much. Oh, a couple more came in.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna close that down. And so 88% said it was fiction. Again, I don't know why the math doesn't work, but 11 or 12% said it was fact.
It is fiction. It's years we've been saying this, specifically on the hardware side, right? So if you have hardware, servers, infrastructure, and they're old, if they were to go down, the issue you have is finding the right people that can still support this type of environment, this type of hardware. Vendors do not hold or stock any kind of spare parts for legacy systems, so it becomes difficult to source them. Takes longer to source them. Response times are slower. The lost data, and then chances are you may not have some form of a backup because it may be not compatible with your backup system. So I guess the hardware aspect and the support side, the software side is really, you know, we see a lot of companies that have an old ERP or some old application that is running with an old version of operating system, and it runs well, but you know, if something were to happen, you have literally no support from the vendor, and then stuck with having to build something back from some kind of data, and it just becomes very reactive and costly for your business if it goes down for several hours, days, or you know, if it doesn't come back at all.
It's a risk.
It is a risk. Question 15. AI and automation reduce headcount.
Fact or fiction?
You're good for time? Yes.
Yeah, we are. People are thinking, are coming in, the
Mm-hmm.
responses.
Yeah.
I
think we're good.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay. That's 20. Yep. So we've got 32% who said it was fact and 68% said it was fiction.
It is
And
it's
you
half, what
both
is it?
right.
The glass half full. How's that? Partially fact. So, yes, you can use AI and automation to help your employees be more efficient, to be more operational, to free up some of their time so they can do other things. If I use sales as an example, well, you can use AI to help your sales team following meetings with customers, and then there's always the follow up and the to dos and the tasks. And all of that write up and the communications, that all could be done through automation and Copilot and AI. So what does that do? Well, it gives this person more time so he can go and talk to the next customer, or go and find a new customer. So that helps a lot. There is an aspect of automation if you're looking at manufacturing and stuff. Obviously, there are some businesses that are looking to possibly reduce headcount by implementing some kind of automation within their warehouse and manufacturing. Unfortunately, that may be the case, but I guess the overall message I have is that, and mostly for young people, is if you're not in AI, obviously you need to be in AI, because there are a lot of opportunities with the actual development of AI tools and automation. And it's not AI that will be managing an AI solution. It is humans that will manage the AI solution. So the development of all of that requires expertise. So whether we like it or not, it's going there. It's just that, how ready are you and how ready are your employees to implement and you use it in a way that can help your business and improve your functions. So
Yeah, at the end of
half
the
and
day, I
half.
think we know that some of this is
Mm.
going to cause, some
Yeah,
layoffs and things like that. But
yeah,
I think the goal is to be ready, and then, to re-educate these people so they can do something else. And then, we're seeing it already. Like, most of us like to talk to a human. So,
hmm
so that
yeah,
relationship thing, I don't think is going to go, away. I
yeah,
think it's going to be even more coveted, because we are going to be dealing with, I mean, let's face it, you deal with agents now where you call, it's an automated, bot that
yeah,
talks to you, and,
yeah,
you interact with that bot. But, at the
yeah.
end of the day, I think there's going to be opportunity with relationship building, and, human to human contact kind of thing.
Yeah, well, automation is not anything new, right? It's not a new
Um,
concept. It's existed for decades. Everybody's doing automation, right? It's just that now it's in the form of AI. But yeah, there's obviously companies looking to improve their overall optimization, performance, deliverables. It's through automation, right? All right, good.
We got through
So
the 15 questions. That's pretty
we did.
amazing.
We did. So I guess just curious to see what, if any of these questions, if you had any of these questions, or what's, Maria, what's one change that the attendees can make by the end of the year? What's one thing you can make to improve something within your organization? Food for thought, something to look at.
Yeah. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, we like you said, Sergio, you get these questions and we put this together so that we could kind of explain some of the background of that and sort of I'm going to say demystify, which is actual fact and what is
Yeah.
fiction. And hopefully, with some of the stuff you learned today, you can do some things in your own organization to better whatever it is. Sometimes it doesn't take much. It might be one little change, right?
Yeah.
So
Correct. Yeah. Good.
cool.
And I believe the next thing is the draw.
Yeah, so Patrick, were you able to do the draw? And while Patrick is gonna tell us who won the three $100 Amazon gift cards, I want to remind everybody that we did put up, and Patrick did, because Patrick's doing all this stuff in the background. He put up a link to the survey, so if you can just take a moment to answer, there's three little questions. Just give us your feedback and let us know, how you felt the webinar went and what we can do better in the future, or what kind of topics you'd like us to talk about in the future. Having said all that, Patrick, who are the winners?
Yes. Yes. Perfect. So we have Andrea Berkey, Kelly Caleb, and Doris Osgood were the winners.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
congratulations. And as we mentioned, so we're gonna send you an email just to confirm that the email that we have is the correct one to send we're sending an electronic Amazon card, obviously. And so we want to make sure that we send it to the right place, and then we'll be sending out the electronic gift card, within 24 hours or so. So congratulations to all the winners, Andrea. Yes. Oh, wow. Congratulations to you. Uh, you know, like I said, with all the Black Friday stuff going on, it's a perfect timing, right? So, all right. Well, that kind of ends our webinar for today. We do want to thank you for joining us, and we hope that we did bust a few myths that confirmed a few that were actual fact. As I mentioned, this was our last webinar for 2025, but no worries, we will be back in 2026 with more
Mhm.
MicroH Talks technology webinars, and we hope you can join us for those. With that, Sergio, thank you very much,
Thank you,
and
everyone.
thank the universe that we
Yeah.
didn't crash and
That,
burn
that, that our Teams
in the
webinar
middle of
worked.
the
Yes.
webinar, so that's great. And
Yeah.
thanks to all of you for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it. Happy holidays, and we will
Yeah.
see you at the beginning of 2026. Have a
Thank you.
great day.